Hi there, my name is Emefa Kosiadeti and welcome to Youth Connect. So today I'm excited. Why? Because two of my very good friends get to join us here on Youth Connect, and a lot has been happening in the news. We can narrow it down to about 10, but out of that 10, we're able to talk about 3 of the issues, and the big one that's topping on the 3 of the issues is that of the Special Prosecutor. Why? Because a former Special Prosecutor gets to petition the removal of the current Special Prosecutor. Interesting. And then we get to talk about AI and how we can use that to fight galamsey. I saw that news headline and I said, okay, maybe what we've been waiting for is finally here. Somebody gets to fight galamsey. But with AI, is that a conversation we are ready to have? Is that really the way out? Is it not just discipline we need to fight galamsey? But yes. So the NDC's flag bearer says that they're looking to fight galamsey with AI. Another conversation that has resurfaced again is dialysis. I mean, I have friends, I have family, and to think that every day you have to think about where you're going to find money to pay for your dialysis costs is a conversation we cannot underestimate, or we cannot even pretend we shouldn't have. We must have that conversation. And I've said it again on the show that whatever we do as young people, or whatever we allow as young people, we get to pay for the repercussions a little later. So today, yes, Ekin Sepuku, that I said I wish he was a little taller. And he says that he's Akufo-Addo's descendant, the president Akufo-Addo's descendant in teenager. It's not surprising his height. It's good to see you, Akins.
Good to see you, Emefa.
All right. And another person that is always on our screens, and we're going to be asking him what informed his outfit choice today. Julius Kwame Anthony. Oh my goodness, Julius. So what color is this? What color is this? What color are you wearing?
Green, it's navy green or whatever.
What informed your choice of outfits today?
Oh, of course, my blood is green. The National Democratic Congress is green. And so I must be appearing in the colors.
Why did I ask this question? Okay, guys, so it's good to reconnect with you guys.
Definitely. It's a pleasure to be here. I've not seen you in a very, very long time.
True. I'm here now.
Glad to see you.
Okay, so guys, I know that a lot is in the news, but let's try and have one that is quite a shocker to everybody. Anybody at all, but not the former Special Prosecutor. Akins, are you surprised as who is petitioning that he should be removed?
For me, I think that a very good evening to yourself and our cherished listeners. I think that the surprise is from the fact that a former Special Prosecutor is rather petitioning, for the impeachment and removal of a current Special Prosecutor. But it is not surprising as to the processes that some of these things, goes through, because we've seen this same process triggered in the SRAJ, the removal of the SRAJ boss, the former SRAJ boss. We've seen this process being triggered in the removal of the famous Miss Charlotte Osei. And so that is not new to us, but I think that Mr. Martin Amidu, being a former Special Prosecutor, right, having set up such an office, being the first Special Prosecutor of its kind, now coming back and raising some of these issues is what is new to me as a person. And,
Now, before I go to Anthony, or what you make, how do people like to call you, Julius or Kwame? I call you a fool. Which one are people calling you?
Everyone and what they prefer.
Okay. So let's recap the things that you might find in the former Special Prosecutor's petition. And here are his reasons. So he says that, violation of citizens' rights to information. He also cited violation of citizens' rights through arrest and detentions. He also cited abuse of judges and the administration of justice. He also cited procurement breaches. He also cited appointment breaches. We'll go into appointments mostly because we have very little issues. We have very little evidence or where we can point out on the other matters that he has raised. But again, I'll come back to you on the question that I asked Akins, that are you surprised who is petitioning?
Well, I am surprised on many levels. Not only on the person who is petitioning, but also on how President Akufo-Addo acted on it. My reason is because, well, Mr. Martin Amidu was in that office. He had all the opportunity to do what is right by Ghanaians. But he fled the office with claims that the president is too corrupt for him to be able to do anything meaningful in the office and all that, which most of us took him seriously on. He gave the president the popular mother serpent of, corruption tag and all that. To see him now running for the removal of another person from the office on the grounds he is stating, the question is, you could have handled that office better. Why did you flee? But on the handling of the matter, we have been told that on matters that are on Article 146 of the Constitution, and I'm talking about Article 146 of the Constitution because Section 15 of Act 959 is for all intents and purposes similar to Article 146 of the Constitution.
You'd say?
Except for the fact that when it comes to the Chief Justice, it's the President himself who determines a prima facie case, sets up a committee, the Council of State has some roles to play and all that. But beyond that, everything there is similar to what is in Section 15 of the Special Prosecutors Act. What is required is that a person who seeks to remove persons of the status of justices of the Superior Court of Judicature, and for our purposes, the persons who have such statuses include the electoral commissioners. The chairperson of the electoral commission has the status of a court of appeals judge. The deputies have the status of a high court judge. If you look at SHRAJ, two similar structures are there. I think NCC also has similar. And so to remove persons in such offices, the basic requirement is that a person who seeks to do that needs to send a petition to the president. And the president would convey that petition to the Chief Justice.
Yes.
The Chief Justice would then determine if there's a prima facie case against the person. A committee set up, and the president shall act on the recommendations of the committee. Now, several issues happened. If you take the issue of Madame Charlotte Osei, for example, immediately the petition arrived before the president, straight to the Chief Justice. People argued that why was it that way? Why did the president act quickly? We had very reputable people, and for our purposes, I'll name some of them. I'm naming them because they are lawyers of high repute, respected by a lot of people, and their opinions on the subject matter. Indeed, I agree with their opinion. Esan Kuma, Yaopon, who was a former, is he former or he's still director of the Ghana School of Law?
He's still the current.
Samson Ladia Nyenini, Mr. Kofi Bento, and all these people told us that when it comes to the Article 146 duty of the president is just a conveyor belt.
And he's not bound by time.
Well, within 7 days, he's bound by time.
By 147?
Yeah, 146, yes, within 7 days.
Because he's bound by time under the OSP's Act.
Exactly.
He's bound by time under that as well, within 7 days. He's supposed to do that. That's why I'm saying that for all intents and purposes, the provisions are the same. The Constitution is here, so you can have a look at it. They said that what? He's just a conveyor belt. Some people say that it means are we saying the president is just a poster boy who is supposed to take something and send to somebody? People say all of those things. But the argument is just sound, that if I appoint somebody to a certain office, if he wants the person out, I should be aware. And that is why the letter or the petition goes to the president. Then the president forwards it to a committee. So it's just sound that the petition goes to the president first. But we had other people who petitioned the president with reference to persons with the same status in the Constitution. We had a petition against former Chief Justice Sophia Akufo by one Mensa Thompson, who was alleging grounds of incompetence for why the former Chief Justice should be removed from office. President Akufo-Addo conveniently never forwarded that letter. He never acted on it.
I mean, I'm seeing a lot of people argue on this Article 146.
Yes.
And then the provision, I think Section 15 of the OSP's Act,
yes,
that the reason why the president had to speed up was the fact that it is within 7 days.
But
in the Constitution, I'm unable to find where he's bound by within 7 days.
let me make a reference.
Okay. But I mean, whilst you're at it, because
Yes,
it's been a matter of concern where people have said that why it looks like the president has a personal interest in.
You know, it is important that I land this point.
Okay.
But let me get back to it. So we have the same situation. Then Fix the Country as well, I think, petitioned the president with reference to the current electoral commissioner. 2 years, the president never acted on it. And they had to withdraw their petition, stating those grounds, that for 2 years, it doesn't seem to them like the constitutionally responsible
We don't know
officers
whether he transmitted it to the Chief Justice or not. Any of the petitions that went to him, we're unable to tell whether... Because he really has to just forward, right?
It's just ordinary practice that if I bring an issue before you, actions taken on it, I am made aware of them.
Okay.
So if the parties are not made aware, clearly no action has been taken on it.
Okay.
That's just how it works. It's just basic. My problem is that why does the president show significant interest in acting on some, and when it comes to others, he chooses not to, when the issues are the same? And so I find that problematic because already there's a perception that Mr. Kissi Ejaben has been acting contrary to the interests of the president and persons associated to him. There is also the same, I mean, it's obvious, prior to the 2016 election, the president himself has on several occasions vilified the then electoral commissioner, Mrs. Charlotte Osei. So when a petition came against him, he acted very promptly. We are seeing the same situation again, where a person who has been constantly vilified by associates of the president. You see Paul Adomotre, for example, on his Good Evening Ghana, he spends hours vilifying the special prosecutor. And Paul Adomotre's association with the president is not in doubt. He's one of the president's appointees. When it came to his matter, the president acted at record speed. When these things are happening, people begin to question what our processes are, how our processes work, how those processes apply to different people differently. And for me, whatever the merits of the issues are, if there is a basis for Kissi Ejaben to be removed, it is not in my personal interest for a person who may have acted contrary to the law, as Martin Amidu is suggesting, that person remains in office. I do not care about, maintaining somebody. Once there's a basis for him to be removed, he should be removed. I don't mind.
Okay.
But if it is the case that different standards are applied to different people, we begin to question the process. And I am saying on all authority that the president is beginning to be very selective in his approach. And this selective approach to the process does not bring any trust to us when people with the same statuses in terms of their office, the same procedure is required for them, apply it to all. Let us see the outcome.
Okay. Let's have
that is what we should be having.
Let's have Kings.
I think that I partially, or I totally disagree with the point that Julius is making, that the president seeks to do a selective, forwarding of petitions that are brought before his office. You see, the framers of the OSP Act, right, had the intention that when you read the Article 146 critically, you indeed give room for the appointor, right, the one who appoints,
right,
to abuse the process. And so the framers of the OSP Act, that was the reason why they actually brought a timeline that within 7 days, this time around, when you take the petition, you don't need
not up to you.
Just forward it to, the Chief Justice. And so the president is not erring by forwarding the petition to the Chief Justice.
But I never said
this particular time.
I never said it.
Now, when you make a claim that it looks like the president is interested in Kissi Ejaben's case because he's been critical of the government here and there. I mean, we've had people in opposition who have also bastardized or criticized the work of Kissi Ejaben. Are you getting me? The point we are making here is that, does the president have any influence on this process? In fact, the president has zero influence on the processes of removing...
Let me stay with you. Before we get to whether or not the president has any influence at all, let's look at what Julius just said, and not the sentiments of only Julius. If I do not find, and as he's looking for it, if we do not find that the president is not bound, say he's not bound by any time in the Constitution,
exactly,
as I have been learning, the question then will be, how much is too much time, and how and for matters, because for matters that you're petitioned for and about, it's usually an area of interest to a lot of people.
Well, You see,
and so
I disagree with you.
Okay.
That the president is interested in case A and not interested
That's
in
not my
case B.
issue.
The
My
point
issue is at
the-
what point,
the-
if the president is not
you are
bound
saying
by
that
time.
At what point should he forward the
At
petition
what point,
to?
yes.
Well,
on the face of it.
well,
what
that
do you
is why-
think?
that is why
Do you
I'm
know why
that
I
is why I'm
ask?
saying that. You
I
see-
ask because as you're saying, he's not determining anything. In fact, the prima facie that is supposed to be determined is not by him.
Yeah,
Before
it's
the
not
matter will get to anywhere, it's the Chief Justice.
Exactly.
Before there will be an appointment of some committee members, and they have enough time. So the president just transmitting a petition to the next port of call, and it takes a lot of time. I'm just wondering.
That is why
we're having this conversation because of
that is why I'm saying that. You see, that is why the framers of the OSP Act had that in mind. And you see,
so we take the power of longevity.
This time frame as to who determines when we should send petition here and there. There's a possibility of abuse by any president.
Whether and I'm glad we agree on
whether
that.
President Akufo-Addo or whoever is the president of the day.
Yes, there's that possibility.
That is why.
That
is why when you are making laws come in to cure certain issues that we have problems with. Are you getting me? And so the issue of the OSP Act, whether President Akufo-Addo dislikes the OSP, that is why he has forwarded the petition to the Chief Justice, is neither here nor there. That is the point.
On behalf of all Ghanaians,
that is the point I want to make.
On behalf of all Ghanaians, we withdraw that he dislikes the OSP. However, this conversation has triggered another conversation.
We can have that conversation.
The fact that you have expressed that it can really have some precedents, not just a certain precedent, the ones before him, the ones that will come. The provision in Article 146 can have certain abuse. Let's stay on that. We cannot let that slide.
So let us have.
Are you seeing a little level of abuse?
I get you.
Okay.
Whether President Akufo-Addo is abusing the process, the Article 146 or not, I am not in the position to say that.
Okay.
All that I'm saying is that we can have a conversation that, okay, looking at the potential of various presidents, having abused the process of having a vague time frame, let us now amend that article and then have a definite time frame.
Okay. I think I can agree on that as well.
The issue at hand here, which is the OSP Act, for me, I think that let us have a conversation as to whether or not the content of the petition
absolutely
has any merit.
Let's go there.
Or not.
Let's go there. Let's start with the appointments.
I'm making this argument having in mind that this matter is before the Chief Justice, right? And so I don't want to make any prejudicial commentaries.
Yes.
However, I think that when you read the content of the petition of Mr. Amidu, except for the procurement issues, which is a very serious issue when Mr. Kisie Jaben is found guilty of, can have him impeached. The rest of the issues are a bit. For example, who defines what a misbehavior or misdemeanor is?
Not really
I mean, there are no clear point that, okay, when you do A, B, C, D, it constitutes as misbehavior. And so it becomes very difficult to impeach a person of such magnitude. And remember, the reason why the processes of impeaching people in such offices takes this process is because we want to, as much as possible, protect them from any fear of removal. And so when people put out petitions that, in my opinion, do not, I'm not a lawyer, but I mean, on the face of the arguments that he's making,
as prima facie suggests to me,
it doesn't hold any water, or it doesn't have any grave substance to initiate his impeachment. I think then we should not even trigger that particular process at all.
Do we know, Julius, do we know whether or not the points raised by the former Martin Amidu, do we know whether all points must be satisfied before a prima facie case will be established, or just one? Say, for example, on the procurement breach, we can just establish from there, and then we can start a process.
If any of them is established,
all of them.
Okay,
then let's go on one that, because he's not provided evidence yet, and it's not in our duty to be asking evidence and all of that. But let's start with the appointment. So in his petition, he actually cites Mr. Emmanuel Basintale Amadou, who is a director for investigations, or the Director Investigations Division. And then he cited that Mr. Emmanuel Basintale is a personal friend of the Special Prosecutor, and also suggests that he was the Special Prosecutor was his legal aid at some point, provided legal services to him at some point. Now, his concern is that his appointment amounts to an unlawful appointment because the position he holds, and if you go to the OSP's website, says that it is equivalent to the rank to a Commissioner of Police. That's the rank that he'll be. Now, he seems to suggest that if Mr. Emmanuel Basintale was in the police service as of now, his qualification would not have allowed him to be a Commissioner of Police at the time. So, for this reason, his appointment is unlawful.
Well, as to that, in all sincerity, I do not know how he established that. And I do not seek to go into it. More so because there's a determination before the Chief Justice.
Okay.
I mean, it would be best for purposes of even learning to read what the Chief Justice, who is the principal judicial officer in the country, has to say about that particular point. My concern, especially about this issue, which I have made clear, is that we should not mistake the situation to be that unless there are clearly stipulated rules of behavior, things that are just given, they are just expected, we wouldn't do them. If we are to do that, then we become robots. For example, the Constitution says A shall receive a petition, and then A shall forward it to B to make a determination on the matter. A is now telling us that because the Constitution did not say that I should do it within 7 days, I won't do it. I'll wait 2 years, and that is justified. What sense does this make to anybody?
Okay.
For me, I found that problematic, and that is why, whereas I agree with Akins on the fact that, yes, when the situation becomes like this, and there's room for abuse, then the legislature should cure the abuse, which I agree with him that is what is being cured in the Special Prosecutors Act. I agree. But my problem is to make that proposition without an admission that a person who knows that my job is to just forward a document, you know the distance between the presidency and the judicial services, the Supreme Court.
How is the transmission done? Is it via scanned document, or we need a delivery?
By whatever means. Even if the president decides he needed to fly, he would have landed there already. If he decided he needed to ride at the back of a tortoise, he would have been there already. He could have even rode a snail, and he would have been there already.
Okay.
But how do you justify that the president can receive one, wait 2 years, never sends it, and the reason is only because Article 146 did not say he must do it within this particular period? How do you justify this? So when we have this situation being replicated all the time, it leaves doubt on the system. As I indicated, I don't have any personal interest whatsoever. The National Democratic Congress does not have any interest whatsoever in whether or not Kisi Ejaben is the special prosecutor. Whoever is the special prosecutor, the person's duty is a question of law. And so how the person does their duty, if they flout the rules, is a question of law. And so we have no personal interest whatsoever. What we are saying is that the standard should apply to everybody the same. As quick as you were about this one, be quick about all of them. It's as simple as that. If President Akufo-Addo cannot do that, if our judicial services cannot point to him that such conducts are contrary to law, they are contrary to reasonableness, then we are having a problem as a country. And that is where I feel that those biases, those clear indications of ill will, malice, and favoritism where it comes to persons he likes, is not appropriate, and we should put it, behind us. That is one thing we must both agree on. And what I also want to say is that, yes, I agree that when it's becoming like this, it needs to be cured. Article 146, we need to make it a bit airtight. What you are supposed to do, because a similar thing is what is being repeated in the issue of the bill, the anti-LGBTQ bill, for lack of better words, It's the same situation. Even with that, there is clear stipulation on the two options you have. I agree, you tell the person within 7 days. I disagree, you tell the person within 7 days. Even that, there's that clear stipulation. But the same
that,
precedent...
there were people that were seeking certain clarifications. And
but if somebody is seeking certain clarification...
Because the president, I agree, means assentment.
No. Let's get this clearly.
Okay.
The president is giving basis for which he can say he disagrees with portions of a bill.
those bases include when he, the president, thinks the bill is unconstitutional and all those things. And so if somebody is challenging the constitutionality of the bill, what do you think? If you, the president, thinks that the basis for which the person is challenging the constitutionality is correct, you simply indicate to Parliament, I think that I disagree because of this portion. You can't use that cover. If that proposition is supposed to be accepted, it means that any time Parliament passes a bill, all 31 million of us, we are at liberty to just go to court and then Parliament freezes. Do you know no court can uphold that? It will be a nuclear meltdown. Let me land my point.
I mean, the matter
it's not
is
prejudicial.
The matter is before the court.
Okay,
it is not prejudicial.
We may be going to this
proposition that
LGBT
any time
conversation,
Parliament
which I'm not
passes a
ready
law,
for.
any of us, the moment we make an application,
once
relax.
The law is unconstitutional, people have the right to challenge.
Of course, and it is the determination of the court that prevents that from being law. It is not your application. And so you cannot interrupt the judicial process simply because any of the 31 million of us. So imagine a situation. Every time Parliament passes a bill, there is no day that the whole Ghana agrees with the content of the bill. No day that the whole Ghana agrees. Never. That is why even within Parliament, you don't need a unanimous agreement for the bill to pass. You need only a simple majority.
Yes.
So there is no day the whole of Ghana agrees. So imagine in Parliament every single day a bill is passed, somebody disagrees, a mere application, then the process freezes.
So let me ask you, let me ask you this question. So based on the argument you are making, right? Now, if the Supreme Court, right, rules that the bill is unconstitutional, right, and the president says that I have assented to that, but what happens?
It becomes unconstitutional. There is a lot of Mensima versus Attorney General.
Listen,
there are several laws which have been struck down by the Supreme Court.
Exactly.
In Mensima versus Attorney General, a law has been struck down. Several laws have been struck down. So
what is wrong by the president saying that? See, there's a determination as to the constitutionality of this
What
matter.
is wrong about that is because you said
let the status quo remain.
What is wrong about that is that you set up a stage for a nuclear meltdown, which is what I am saying. How do you disagree? So today, there's a bill before Parliament. Immediately it passes. I'm a citizen of good standing. I can bring an action before the court under Article 2:1 and 130 of the court anytime at all. And I go to Parliament, automatically process stop. Is that what you are saying?
I'm not saying. Listen.
No. Okay, yes. I think I quite understand what Akins is saying. So we're not saying that the president saying I disagree or does not disagree ends there. We know that when the president says, I disagree, it now pushes that bill to a step further.
Exactly.
Yes.
We know this.
Yes.
It's not really a matter of I disagree or I don't disagree.
Yes.
I disagree now puts him in the position where, okay, everything is okay here. Then you must assent to it.
No, if the president says, I disagree with the content of the bill, the law clearly states what
if
you must do.
What if he agrees?
If he agrees, you sign.
It becomes law.
And when it is in the Supreme... if it becomes law, it's not in Ghana, my friend. In Ghana, when a person alleges that an enactment made by Parliament is contrary to law, the forum is the court, not a bill. A bill is not an enactment. When it comes to bills,
so we want. And you must get it
in Boyafia and NTAC. The court was of the view that when a particular process is stated that this is what something must be done, that process is what is followed. What is the process the law says about if a president disagrees with the content of a bill? You tell Parliament. What is the process the law says about if a person disagrees with an enactment of Parliament? You go to court and seek an interpretation, and the Parliament will make a declaration.
So it's actually not a law yet.
It's not even a law.
It's not a law yet.
It's not a law. The process that is stated, is that the president on his side can only say I agree or disagree.
Okay.
When a person goes and applies for an injunction with reference to a bill, let the court determine that. So the president has always been abusing processes, and that is clear.
I disagree with you.
Well, your disagreement should be grounded.
Let me hear you.
The point is that once the bill is transmitted to the president, right, based on the rules, the president ought to make an
either
action.
assent or not.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
He must
take an action.
Exactly.
Yes.
So now what the president is saying is that before you bring the bill for it to be enacted into a law, there are people who are challenging the basis, right, of this particular law. And so let the Supreme Court make a determination.
But it's not even a law yet. It's just
so what are they?
That's what I'm saying, that the Supreme Court, right, and this is a very fine opportunity for us as a country, for the Supreme Court to make a determination on that.
On what?
On whether or not the people who have applied, right, that the bill has some basic unconstitutionality and all of that.
How do you say a bill is unconstitutional?
Into Attorney General, right?
No, it is for the Supreme Court.
How do you say
it is for the Supreme Court to make that determination?
That what a bill.
But
it has to be that. It has to be that.
But with reference to a bill, the constitutional duty on the president is to indicate I agree or disagree.
And I'm saying that the president is not wrong to say that I do not want my action to prejudice.
How does your action prejudice
of the Supreme Court? And so let the status quo remains.
What status quo?
If the Supreme Court comes out and says that
it is not a private law matter, it's a public law matter, and you need to get the difference.
You see,
my friend.
Okay, I think what is in contention here is Article 2, where it says that a person who alleges an enactment or anything contained in or done under the authority of that or any other enactment or any act or omission of any person is inconsistent with. Basically, what it's saying is that you can go to court to seek that the Supreme Court gives an interpretation to a certain law. And if the law, what interpretation that the law gives, if it's now doesn't fit in what is written here, then we now know the way forward.
We declare it unconstitutional. It doesn't apply any longer.
Now we must really now find out whether a bill is an enactment.
It's not an enactment, and secondly,
that is for the Supreme Court to determine.
Really? This one? Why? So right now everything we should.
Okay. This is the conversation we are having today.
Let's not. We have an audience to educate.
Guys, but I'm saying that
a bill is not an enactment. An enactment is a law passed by Parliament.
I never said that. I'm saying that this is before the Supreme Court to make a determination.
Please, your audience are listening. Stop sounding ridiculous. A bill and an enactment. An enactment is a law passed by Parliament.
Nobody is challenging on that.
Nobody is challenging. So what Supreme Court?
Nobody is challenging. All that I'm saying is that is a determination for the Supreme Court.
What I have to do,
a Supreme Court has to determine whether you, Kofi Akins, knows the difference between a bill and an enactment.
No, that's not what he's saying. Julius, behave.
That's not what I said. That's not what I said. I am saying that
it's a bill and enactment.
I have not said that.
No. Julius, I need a question here too.
So the Supreme Court has to determine for you, Akins.
Are you a lawyer? You're not a lawyer.
I'm also not a lawyer. A Supreme Court has to determine before you know that a bill is
hang on.
My opinion does not matter here. My opinion, because
every day, every language we are using, we have to call Supreme Court to come and tell us. Enactment and bill is English. It's English. Supreme Court has to teach you the difference.
No, hang on, the two of you.
Nobody is saying that.
No. Listen, the two of you. Listen. That's the whole way we come here to discuss.
Yeah, but like certain things.
So
every day when we are having conversations, let's speak to the issues. They're running away from the issues and saying that the courts is becoming too much. To the extent that simple meaning of bill and enactment,
it's not simple.
The Supreme Court has to determine that.
Nobody said
it's not simple.
It's not that simple.
It's simple.
It's actually
bill and enactment.
What is it? Richard Delaskai that's going to court, and then who else is going to court? What we have to do is actually see the content of what they are seeking interpretation.
No, you asked a specific question. You said that. It's a bill and an enactment the same. And he's telling me that.
He doesn't know.
I said I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm saying that.
Supreme Court has to teach you the simple difference between
a bill and
an enactment.
We don't know.
Nobody's saying
guys.
Nobody's saying that, Julius. Nobody's saying that.
Guys, let's
all that I'm saying is that let us wait for the outcome of the Supreme Court. Then we can have this conversation.
This is where we would also have a problem with.
Is a bill an enactment? Yes or no? Supreme Court should answer that.
Julius, sit up.
Then just say, before I speak every day, MFR, Supreme Court, come and tell me the meaning of the word before I use it.
First of all,
what is this?
We have to have this conversation assuming that the matter that is before the Supreme Court for determination is a concern on the bill in its totality, not portions of it. Even if it's portions of it, it is fine. What we have to have this conversation around is pretend that it is the bill in itself. Then now we must go all out there to go and find out whether or not it is okay to take a bill and further find out whether a bill is an enactment.
And beyond that is a question of whether a person bringing an action with reference
has a bearing
on the president's duty.
I think that
the president's
lawyers for
the president's duty under law.
I mean, they are challenging all those things.
Okay.
What I know for sure, and because this is on record, what I know for sure is that by the time the outcome of these things happen, President Akufo-Addo will be out of office, and that's exactly. Let me make my point, please.
How are we arriving?
I am the one putting something on record. Allow me to do that.
But you have to arrive at the record properly.
Yes, and I'm serious about it. President Akufo-Addo will be out of the office. The determination would have become clear to us that any citizen at all, when Parliament is in the legislative process, cannot just go on a mere application, stop that entire legislative process, and the court will hold it. And President Akufo-Addo would have run away from what he's running away from anyway.
Let me ask a personal question.
Yes,
Let me ask a person. Are you very confident about the NDC coming into power?
In 2024?
Yes, in 2024.
Oh, definitely.
Are you very confident?
Very, very confident.
So why, let's just hold on.
Yes, that is what I'm saying.
When
but
NDC...
I'm talking about the precedents we set. Today, per the president's action, if there's a bill before Parliament that is sent to, what do you call it, the president to make an assent to, before he does that, I can just bring an action before the court and say that I challenge the content of that and the president has to stop.
No, but you see,
and you see, the reason why I am saying this is because we are talking about the double standards of the president on a subject matter. In e-levy, Akins, are you aware that when the e-levy bill was being passed, there was an action in court against the e-levy bill?
Yes.
Are you aware?
Yes.
Why didn't the president stop because there's an action challenging it? He proceeded to sign.
Okay, another time, have we been learning whether, because at that time it was a bill too, it wasn't a law.
Yes, but he proceeded to sign.
But the Supreme Court made a determination on that.
But the president proceeded to even sign before the Supreme Court.
I really cannot be bothered about the president signing or not. I'm concerned about what we have just been discovering as to what amounts to an enactment.
The president signed that.
Come on,
I think
let's
that
come back to our...
But you see, Julius is making very serious statement here.
Okay.
Right? If he says, and he's saying that he's putting it on record.
Yes, it's on record.
That by the time
President
we
Akufo-Addo will
finish
be
with
gone,
this process,
President Akufo-Addo will be, yes.
That is a huge indictment.
No, by him.
It's not a huge, and I'm saying it is my record. I own it.
No, but you see,
I own it. I am saying
leave him to own it.
Exactly, but I'm
Okay.
saying that we also have the opportunity to educate our listeners.
Yes.
Right?
Okay.
Because anybody who is watching might think that then it means that something fishy is happening.
Yes, there's something
No,
fishy.
it
it's
is not
also on
true.
record.
It is not true.
There's something fishy. It's also on record.
Julius, you see,
There's something fishy.
Tell me, what do you think he means?
We must be very careful how we chastise the judiciary.
Who is chastising the
No,
judiciary?
if you claim,
Who is chastising the judiciary?
now you
Is the
determine how
president?
cases
Why? Is it the judiciary who is saying that? Is it the judiciary?
No, you
my
are
friend,
sitting here.
listen,
You are
MFA,
sitting
please
here
moderate this.
saying that
we are talking about the
you
president
know for
applying
sure.
double
You know for
standards
sure that the
on what
case
bills he
will travel
signs.
beyond President Akufo-Addo.
How did you arrive
How
at
did you
knowing
arrive
that
at
it will
that
travel
conclusion?
beyond? Actually, that's
How did you arrive
My
at
friend,
that conclusion?
MFA, put your boy to order
No,
and
no,
let's
no,
speak
no,
to the
no.
issues.
He's not a boy, he's a man.
He's a boy.
He's not a boy.
One.
He's not
I'm
a
saying
boy.
that by the time this process is over, President Akufo-Addo will be out of office.
How did you
It is
arrive
not
at
true.
that?
Let me make my.
How did you arrive at
Are we getting emotional?
I kept quiet and allowed him to speak. So when you ask me a question,
Julius,
You
allow
have
me to
raised
speak.
you've brought
Yes.
my attention to it. I heard
The
you. We all
president-
heard you.
yes,
It's very
and then
valid.
we keep quiet
And it's a
and
very,
listen to
it's a very
But I'm
valid.
saying that it
As
is
to
my
who keeps
record. I
quiet
own
here.
it. It's my record.
How
I
did
own
you
it.
arrive at the
Good.
fact that by the time the process is done?
Because I already told you there's something fishy. The
How did you arrive at that?
president, I've already told you there's something fishy.
How did you
I
arrive
arrived at that because the president in the case of e-levy was swift to sign. When it came to this one, he was not swift to do it. The president, in the case when there was a petition against the former chief justice, he was not quick to act on it. When it was in favor of his favorite EC, he was not quick to act on it. But when it's Isi Ejaben, he asked
has a favorite
when
EC?
he
has a favorite EC?
When it's Charlotte, I say, please, we are diverting.
No,
Let me
no,
make
you-
my point.
no,
Let me make my
I'm back
yes, he
on
has a
your
favorite
point.
EC, the current one. He has
Right.
a favorite, the
Yes.
current
Okay.
one. When it is Charlotte said he was quick to act on it. When it's e-levy, he's not quick to act. When it's what's the name?
The bill.
The last guy. Then he's dragging his feet. There's something fishy. That's what I'm saying, and I own it. Then the second point I'm making is that by the time this process is done, President Akufo-Addo would have been out of office, and it would have become clear to us that no precedent, because it doesn't make sense. You don't even need to be a law student or a lawyer, like the way he's proposing, to know that we can't have a situation where the parliamentary process can be halted because all 31 million of us, anyone at all,
I think
can go to
that
court
point
and
has
halt
been
that
made. That
process.
point has
So
been made.
the point I'm
I'm
making
sure
is that it is a deliberate thing being done by President Akufo-Addo to start with the process. It's as simple as that.
You must
So
give me
can't-
time.
How is this
One
about?
minute.
How is this about
Julius,
me
you have
saying?
made a point.
How
Okay.
is this?
To be
No,
fair, you have
he
made
made
a
something
point.
I want to clarify.
What
How
did
is
he
this
say?
about me saying that it is the judiciary? Is the judiciary the one holding the bill, or is President
But
Akufo-Addo?
you are saying that the case will travel.
He says that. That's what
beyond
you said.
President
That's what
Akufo-Addo.
he
Who is
said.
I am saying that
Who is
because-
adjudicating the matter now?
Which is a very relevant point you
Yes,
have raised.
the case will travel beyond President
How
Akufo-Addo.
did
I am
you
the one
arrive at
saying
that?
I arrive at that because there are several
He's giving us
instances. There are several
precedents.
instances, including the Domelevo case, when the judiciary did not hear the case for a very long time. It is just common knowledge to Ghanaians that cases before the judiciary last
Okay,
over
you made
2
a
years,
point.
3 years.
You made
It's
your
common
point.
knowledge. What are you telling me
Julius,
about
your
it?
point is clear.
It is
Please
common
reverse
knowledge.
and then let's
It
end
is
this.
important for us to educate our listeners.
And you've made your point clear.
It's
You
So
see,
calm down.
you sit here and claim that President Akufo-Addo.
And do not interject.
Please do
He
not
was quiet.
You sit here
No,
and
he
claim.
was interjecting.
He wasn't.
No, you sit
He
here.
wasn't.
You
I
sit
promise
here.
you he wasn't.
You sit here and claim that President Akufo-Addo is
He's being
deliberately, trying to stop the
being fishy.
Oh, Julius,
No.
let me make my point.
Okay, well, he used the word fishy, so you.
He used it. He introduced it.
What kind of fish
No,
is it?
you are
He said that I said there's something
Don't
fishy,
distract
so
me,
it's
Julius. Don't distract.
It's being
What I'm saying is
Julius,
that
Julius,
you
look at
sit
me.
here-
I'm even your moderator,
sit
and you
here-
keep looking at
You
him.
sit here, claim that President Akufo-Addo is deliberately
being fishy.
frustrating the process. What I'm saying is that, you see, this is a president, right? This is a president that controls majority in parliament. Listening to MFA, this is a president who controls majority in parliament.
Yeah.
This bill, this
A slim
LGBTQ whatever, right, wouldn't have reached the stage it is now.
If the majority.
Exactly. So a president.
It could have been circumvented
Exactly.
at
And
any
the
point. I think it's a very
the
solid.
proposals of this bill had majority members of parliament as part of it.
It's
So
irrelevant.
why do you sit here?
It is relevant.
It is very
It is
relevant.
not
Right?
relevant.
It is very
It is
The
relevant.
fact that they are
It is very
members of
relevant.
his party
Let me
does not mean they are
He's
not
distracted. Let me
independent
make
You
my
are
point.
distracting
Let me
him.
make
I
my
think
point.
it's relevant.
proposition
Let me
is
make my
this?
point.
The
What I'm-
president's
No,
job is
Julius,
different from the
no,
MPs.
it is
Julius.
not.
How is that relevant?
It is
How
not.
is it
Julius.
different?
Listen,
The members of
Guys,
parliament
I'm gonna
are
have to call for a
individual
break.
members of parliament
He-
working for
Julius,
themselves.
He
No,
doesn't want
it's
me to
not
speak,
fair.
but I'll
It's not
speak.
fair.
I'll make the point. What
But
I'm
no,
saying
for you
is
to accept that
what I'm
because they
saying
are
is
members
that-
of his
what
party
I'm
means
saying
that
is
the
accept.
president is
yes,
going to
because
take how?
man, do you know why? President Akufo-Addo, as the president of the republic, is the leader of government and the leader of the new patriotic party. What it means is that
So there's
what
definitely
it
a
means
link,
is that
yes.
there's a link and a collaboration between majority members of parliament and the
I
president.
agree with you.
Yes, but that does
and
not
I will
affect their
refer you
legal
to this point one
responsibility.
day
If
when you need it.
if the president was not in support of the anti-LGBTQ, it wouldn't have reached
But when-
the stage
when
where
has the
the
conversation
NDC
became
is
about
making
what-
noise today,
what-
claiming
You guys-
that President
You
Akufo-Addo is
guys,
the one.
I
you know.
cannot even believe this. We're talking
So let
about
that point be
the
made.
OSP's
No.
petition.
but majority was in
MFA,
support.
how does the
No.
president
Guys,
being the leader of
we
party
end this
relate to the
conversation
legal
here
duty
now.
of the MPs in
We
parliament?
end here.
How
We
does
end
it
here.
relate to that?
I understand it. I have made the link. It's okay.
There isn't.
We-
MFA,
I have made
please.
the link,
There
and it's
isn't.
okay.
I'm a
Guys,
member of
let's
parliament
talk
and
about-
I'm in
are
NPP.
you-
It means my position and the president is always the same.
No, that's not what he said. That's not what he said.
So what?
That's not what he said.
MFA,
Guys,
MFA,
let's
please.
talk about. So
Please,
have you
this
seen
guy
the-
said
have you
that
seen
the
the AI
people supported
conversation?
it means the president is on it.
Have you seen?
Well,
Guys,
how does it mean the same thing?
I'm sorry. We cannot
How
continue.
does the host is bringing
We
the
cannot continue the
host
Martin
is bringing the
Abidu. We cannot continue the Martin Abidu conversation. Anyway. Whew. Okay. Wow, guys. Guys, give me a moment to be back shortly. When the news breaks, when decisions are made, when society says it has to be a certain way, as young people, are we ever part of the conversation? Hi, my name is Emefa Akosia Adeti, and I invite you to be part of discussing relevant issues, be it social, political debate, religion, or culture. Let's have our say. On Youth Connect, we shall spark conversations, challenge what we ought to, and find solutions that benefits us all. On Youth Connect, we shall bring to the fore your passion, most importantly, your voice. Don't just watch or listen, act. It matters to you. Hi guys, welcome back. So a little earlier this week, I saw a news headline that's read, the NDC's flag bearer, John Mahama, said that he was going to be fighting Galamsey with AI. Now, the part of the news that caught my attention was the Galamsey part. The AI, I'm not too sure. Because then we've had every time presidents coming and then they promise the fight against Galamsey. I mean, Akins, my friend here, a lot of the times that we've had conversation on a show that looks like this, suggested that the current president looks like he's very determined to fight Galamsey. And so when I saw the news headline, I said, okay, finally, do we have a solution? Akins, what's generally the fight against Galamsey?
Well, MFA, the fight against Galamsey is one that I have always maintained, that it is a multiplicity of some very complex issues, right? That our politicians and our leaders have failed by making sure that we solve this canker, and I say it's a canker, collectively as a nation, right? And we missed an opportunity when for the first time, at least, I stand to be corrected, but for the first time, a sitting president having made a commitment that I put my seat on the line in the fight against, galamsey. Regardless of how sometimes as a leader, right, you would even have your own party people. Because some of these party people, the truth of the matter is that is what they survive on. And when you want to crack the whip, they will tell you that party has ska. And so it is very difficult when you are fighting a menace like the galamsey. But when you have the president giving a strong commitment against the fight of galamsey, I think that was the fine opportunity where both the opposition would rally behind the president's commitment so that we fight this menace. But what did we see? We saw a huge campaign by the opposition in the run-up to the 2020 elections, where you had a deputy national communications director, Kweku Bwai, moving with a potential appointee to these galamsey communities, telling the galamsey people that, see, you see this man, President Mahama has told him that he will be the Minerals Commission boss when he comes to power. And so vote for the NDC. When we come into power, we will let you do galamsey, or we will let you practice galamsey. I watched the video and I was like, Jesus, what are we doing to ourselves? You had the president, the former president himself, moving on campaign platforms, making commentary, suggesting that for him, when he comes, he's going to free all the prisoners that have been arrested, doing galamsey. And so you had some element which is normal because political parties are there to win what? Power. Are you getting me? So when you have your opposition moving from one galamsey community to the other, rallying behind your commitment as a president that you will fight galamsey, what do you think your party people will do? Some element within your party people will do. They will tell you that, Mr. President, we think you have the commitment to fight galamsey, but we think we need to win power. Look at what our opposition are doing, and not any mere person, but the flag bearer of the opposition party. And so for me, he now coming back to say that he's going to use AI to fight galamsey. So now he's not going to appoint Mr. Tony. Is it Tony Edu or Tony?
I'm not too sure the story.
No, he was the Minerals Commission under Mr. Mahama.
He should verify that story.
No,
Yeah.
I can. I'll give you. No, after I've made my presentation, I'll give you the article. Now is he now going to tell them that I promise you that I'll let you do the galamsey? Now I'm not. How is he going to fight the galamsey? Because his apparatchiks told us prior to the 2020 elections that they are going to allow them to run galamsey in this country. So for me, I think that politics has placed us in a very difficult situation in fighting this
galamsey. So what do you think
let me tell you something. It will interest you to note that you would engage some NDC youth who, in their imagination, are thinking that they are coming into power in 2025. And they will tell you point blank that, and for me, I am coming to go and take a concession in Takwa, and then
on what basis do you make that assertion? On
These
what basis? Because I'm an NDC youth. Julius, on what basis do you make that
what
assertion?
I'm saying,
yes,
what I'm
he
saying,
says you need. No, oh, come on.
But what's wrong with this? But what's wrong with? What's wrong with politics? But that's not. There's nothing wrong with it. If a young person wants to say
everything wrong with it
concession,
for him to make an accusation that indicts people I associate with without basis. There's everything wrong with it. Where did the NDC tell you that they are coming to power today?
Let him
I'm not going to allow it.
Let him
He must substantiate that or withdraw
He's
it.
still talking.
You must substantiate that
Let
or
him
withdraw
land.
it. Get the opportunity.
I moderate this conversation, guys.
I mean, you get the opportunity.
Julius,
Calm down. You get the
Julius.
opportunity.
Akins, admit that it is not fair for you
But he hasn't even said anything wrong yet.
He said something
What
wrong.
did he
An
say?
identifiable
He said, if
group.
a youth wants to take concession and go and mine, what's wrong with
No,
it?
he said they were going to do galamsey.
The They
He
will
said
take
they are saying that they
I'm
are
saying
coming to
that
power to
they are
come and
going
do
for
galamsey.
concessions.
To go and
They're
do
taking
what?
the galamsey.
Withdraw
They're
that
taking the
statement.
galamsey.
He
Is that what they
withdraw-
said?
He should withdraw that.
He
It's
said-
not
he
fair.
said he has had
The
personal
NDC youths
conversation.
are unidentifiable.
You get the
They are
opportunity,
known people.
and then you
can't
make
just
your
say that
comments.
NDC youths are waiting
Julius,
for
do
us
you-
to come
Do
and
you
do
trust
galamsey.
me?
Write it down.
Write
You
it
get the
down.
opportunity,
I'm
you
saying that you
speak.
will
He
have
should
your
withdraw
time.
that statement.
Otherwise, so should we end the
He should withdraw
show?
that
So
statement.
So should we end the
There-
show?
No, please, MFA.
So
But
yes,
it is an
I'm saying
unfair
that.
statement.
Wait,
Which
Write
he
it
hasn't
NDC
even
youths told
landed.
you that they are coming to do?
He hasn't
power to
even
do
landed.
galamsey?
He hasn't even
You
landed.
see the problem we are facing. That is why we cannot fight the galamsey.
Because you can make aspersions, claim that a certain group of people said they have this intention
I am building
without
a point.
having any.
Julius, calm
Oh.
down. I am building a point.
Julius,
I am
to be
building a
fair,
point.
to be fair, let
I
him
am
land.
building a point.
To be
But
fair,
but
let him
MFA,
land.
you see
Let
nothing
him
wrong
land.
with him saying that
He has not
NDC
landed,
youth
but he has
are
not
coming to power
landed.
to come and do
He has
galamsey.
not landed. I have my follow-up questions,
He should prove that.
please.
I am building
He
a
should.
point. I have,
When you
Or
said
withdraw
somebody was doing something fishy, I didn't even
I
ask you
said
what
I
type
am
of
putting
fish.
it on record
I didn't
and
ask
I
what
own
type
it.
of fish.
And
So
I
I
showed
also-
you, and I showed
I
you,
also enjoy
and I
it.
showed
So
you,
let
and I
me make
showed
my
you to
point.
you why, and I
Julius.
established it. Several instances where the president did that. He should
Julius.
show us where NDC
Julius.
youth make
Julius.
I also
indications
own
that they are
the-
coming to
I'm-
power.
yes,
Yes,
I'm
if he
owning
owns
my
it, he should
comments.
substantiate.
I'm owning my comments.
When they said they are coming
I'm
to
owning my
do
comments.
galamsey,
I'm owning my
that's
comments.
unfair.
I'm owning
You
my
can't do
comments.
that.
So, MFA, what I'm
can't
saying
do that.
is that the opportunity that we missed because of the political chaskili that we play around this particular issue.
That's a very nice
Oh,
jargon
yes.
to use, though. It is just
And it will
killing.
be difficult for any president because you would find elements within the opposition and even your own
Is
party.
that not why he wants to use AI? Because this time around, then
You should tell us how you use the AI to
Okay.
do
That's
it.
Tell
exactly
him.
why I'm here.
You see, the first point I want to
Oh,
make
Lord.
is that the only thing
I
I
had no
agree
plans
with
on laughing
Akins,
today. Honestly,
the only thing on which I agree with Akins here is the party Hiansika comment. Because when they were doing the so-called interministerial task force that President Akufo-Addo said he placed his presidency on the line for, when people complained about them enabling the galamsey, party Hiansika is a known comment in this country. We can Google the videos
In
right
both
now.
parties.
For it.
In both
It's
parties.
in your party.
In both
There's no
parties.
record of an NDC person ever saying party Hiansika into Yenkoye galamsey.
I mean-
But there's a
I've shown you
record
Kweku
of
Buai.
yours.
I've told
There's
you
a
about
record-
Kweku
let,
Buai.
let me make my point.
I've told you about
There's
Kweku
a
Buai.
record
Now
of
let's
your party people saying that. So that's the only thing I agree on. The claim that NDC youth said they are coming to power to do galamsey, MFA. To be fair to the NDC youth, they are not vague, amorphous characters. They are identifiable people. There are people who openly identify with the NDC youth and the NDC youth wing. To make such a claim, he must substantiate it.
Go on with
and so
how-
you should make
go-
him do that.
go on with how
Then-
we're fighting
then
the AI.
I'm going to do that, but it's just fair to me to put that point across.
he's heard you.
Then, when it comes to the use of AI to fight galamsey, a lot of people think that AI is just used to correct their bad English. That's what they think. But AI includes a lot. And I'm going to show you how geofencing, which President Mahama said he's going to use to fight galamsey, works. What geofencing does is that you map an area virtually. When you map the area virtually, you are able to track activities within the area, exits and entries within that particular area. Having done that, the AI develops intelligence, is able to tell you this is the number of people at a particular place at a particular time. That is why, even if you are using Google Map, use Google Map, MFA, don't you? When you get to a point in the road, the Google Map is able to tell you there's congestion at Siashi. Do you know how they are able to do it? It is geofencing. The whole country has been mapped virtually. And so they are able to tell you there's congestion at Siashi. And so divert to this place and you can have a shorter route to pass. That is how geofencing works. And so when the areas are mapped geographically, virtually they are mapped, you are able to detect movement of vehicles, including the vehicles they use in doing galamsey, the chenfans and all these things they use. When you are able to track that from the various units, can I? Because an important thing that people
it is
understand.
a very important.
Because I saw a lot of
listening.
ignorance displayed, even by my own uncle Richard Ahiangba, on this issue. So it is important that we educate people on the particular issue. So please, MFA, if you allow me to land my points, I would really appreciate it. When you geofence an area, you are able to detect using various other resources, including the softwares and satellite cameras. You could fly in drones when you detect entries that you don't expect. In that way, we can geofence areas that we have designated as forest reserves. We can geofence areas we have designated as parks. We can geofence areas we have designated as river bodies in which mining is not supposed to be done. When such activities are tracked over there, the response is much easier. You know you are going to a particular target. One of the things that made the fight against Galamsey difficult is because we did not localize the fight. Oh, it's in Accra. Oh, see, you have set up interministerial committee, and then you have entered helicopter. You flew there 1 week and you leave, and you think the activity will not continue. Your helicopter is what's going to stop the people. But if you have a way of having an eye there, even without humans over there, when the task force moves in, when police moves in, they know we have tracked this particular vehicle moving into this particular area at this particular time. When vehicles gather at a particular place and they stay over a number of period of time, and you know by as a state that this thing is not supposed to be here by this number of time, you act. That is how it works. So AI is not about ChatGPT.
I have a question.
AI is not only ChatGPT.
Julius, I have a question.
AI
I like
is
the
involved in a lot of things.
I like the
involved in how
education
you're able to
thing.
use
I also
Google
have a
Map
question.
and
I have
all
a
those
question.
I also
You
have
have
a
to
if
give
you
me
are
that question
unable
to
to
ask.
understand and comprehend this basic thing, then please, there are several questions that need to be asked to
I have a
yourself
question.
about your understanding of what
I have a
artificial
question.
intelligence is.
I have a question.
Yeah.
And I think that when a lot of people, including myself, had AI, the challenge was not whether or not we understand AI.
The challenge was what?
So this geofencing that you have said,
Yes.
which means that this time around, if it is done,
Yes.
as you've said,
Yes.
we are able to detect who is doing what
Yes.
at a time that they are not supposed to be doing
Yes.
it, or who is not licensed to be doing something
Yes.
that, or let's just say who is mining illegally at a particular
Yeah.
time, including all the variables that will be in there. But if you look at the challenge with if you look at the challenge of Galamsey now, it has always been the fact that what happens to the ones that we are able to manually, without AI, detect, and what happened to them?
What do you mean by without manual
No, without using AI, but manually. We didn't use geofencing, but we're able to detect, this place has been...
No, by the time
we
you came,
investigate,
by the time
we find names, we do this,
By
but
the
we
time you
act.
came, mostly the people who are actually responsible, whose vehicles they are and all those things, by the time you came, the people are usually gone. You don't find them. You don't know who was there. But if you have a situation where you can have real-time feedback,
You can,
when the
like you
people
can catch
enter,
people count. That's
of
what
course,
you mean.
Yes. If you do not take time to read or learn or know what the issue is about, don't comment.
So
Don't
now we are
display
cutting out. So we are
ignorance.
cutting out the people that we will need for investigation. We are cutting out basically because when we catch you red-handed and all of that, then there's only so much little you can do to escape.
When the fact speaks for itself, there's
Then
no
that's
mind.
it.
But
Okay,
again,
what's the question you
again, this, technology cannot work without humans. After all, the investigative institutions will still have to work. When you catch the people, it gives them real-time feedback.
if it
Task
works,
force is
we'll be happy
responsible.
though.
You see,
The Minerals
Emeka,
Commission, and you
what's the
see,
question?
people who listen to that conversation where President Mahama made that statement, of course, the media wants what would give them frenzy. People shouting all over the place. And so they picked only the AI component. He spoke about a whole lot of things, including decentralizing licensing scheme, including chiefs and all those things. When I was entering University of Ghana School of Law, the essay I had to write was on Galamsey. And one of the issues I identified was the fact that the land tenure system we have. The land belongs to the chief, but the one who has the right to give license over it is at Jubilee House. Then people come into the land and the people are strained to the chief. And then you come and complain, chiefs, you are part of the problem. Then another time, because the land belongs to the chief and the one who gives the license is in Accra, the chief gives it to the people. By the time the one who actually has the right to authorize notices, the people are gone. And so it becomes a problem as to who traces the people. President Mahama is now saying that to prevent all of those things, we would involve the locals in the process as well. President Mahama discussed several things in that statement, but they picked the AI component because, well, it will give the media friends, but even that is because they do not understand. And as I said, if you geofence an area, you can get indications real time, similar to how Google Map is able to give you an indication that there's, what do you call it, traffic at Shiashi. It is not magic, it is real.
MFA, I think that, you see, when it comes to ideas, right, or solutions to fight Galamsey, even as far back as my GHS studies, there were solutions to fighting Galamsey. The point I am making, and the point that I want my brother Julio to agree with me, is that all of these things, regardless of the proposal that my flag bearer, the incoming president, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, will bring, and Mr. Mahama.
Has he said anything about Galamsey?
Of course.
What did he say?
He has,
to be fair, because
no,
what did he say?
he has said
They won't burn excavators again.
No.
Something you were in
That's not
government
your
when
story
they were
to
doing.
tell. He's here. Let him
my
see.
flag bearer has said that one, he is going to ensure that the fight against Galamsey is going to be a nationalistic one.
What does that mean?
What it means is that, you see, sometimes he's talking about arrest. But this arrest case of galamsey, people who practice galamsey, MFI, it will interest you to note that you arrest people who are mining or who are doing galamsey, and the chief of the area, the archbishop of the area, will come and see you.
So it's a bread and butter issue. Why are people mining?
Yeah, that is why I'm saying that. You see, you can say all the nice things, how you want to fight galamsey, but if collectively all of us do not come together and say that we are fighting this thing, forget about whatever you do, you will fail at it. Because you will do it and opposition party would campaign on it, because at the end of the day, once you are fighting galamsey, it means that people's daily bread are being what? Are being taken away from them. These people are voters. Until we come together as a country and say that regardless of the repercussions, together we are fighting this menace. I was coming from Kumasi 2 weeks ago. MFA, on the roadside though, on the roadside, you could see the communities over there, and broad daylight, people
they are mining
galamsey. I asked myself, why are we here? We are here because the political actors, myself and Julius, will come and sit on TV and we'll try to score actors? And we'll try to score political. We'll try to score political points.
Are we political
What
actors?
are you?
What are you?
Anyway.
What are you, Julius? Tell us today.
The political actors are the movers and shakers. I don't think myself and Akins, we are shaking anything. Are we?
Well, shaking there, we are not shaking.
we are not.
Okay, guys, I guess I get a perspective to what the flag bearer said. I also get, so it is an AI against a nationalistic approach.
But you see, MFR, there was an erroneous impression created as though President Mahama ever encouraged galamsey when he said that people should be released.
Oh, no.
Here's the point. Akins, please, pardon me.
Okay.
When President Mahama made that point, the concern is that why do people end up in pits digging for gold and all these mineral resources? It's a lack of job. And President Mahama's proposition is that instead of us just jailing them without a solution, because at the end of the day, the people you even jail are young people who are just needed for manpower. The brains behind the things, the people who bring the machines, are not even in the pit. And so if you jail these people, you don't solve anything. And so we'll release them and find alternative jobs for them. That was what President Mahama said.
No.
And an impression is created as though he's saying he's going to encourage. He's dealing with the real corporates. And you see, you have Vice President Baumia, for example, who watched as excavators and all those things. Some they said they flew, some they said they bent and all those things. Now come around and now tell people, excavators, she excavators biom, she excavators biom. If we are to equate that to meaning encouraging galamsey, does it mean Vice President Baumia is also encouraging galamsey? Because if you burn excavator, you don't solve the problem. So in fact, I may do him the courtesy of even agreeing that we shouldn't burn excavators again. But if that should be interpreted, or if President Mohammed's point should be interpreted as meaning that he's encouraging it, then the person who is now saying that I have watched them burn excavators.
What about your deputy communications director?
You are unable to substantiate that statement. You've not been able to prove it.
Oh, Julius.
And so I will not give merit to that. But I will speak to the fact that no suggestion should be made that President Mahama at any point in time encouraged galamsey. It has never been. It has never happened. These people who go about saying that party hiasika into yenye galamsey.
And you know what? I don't have evidence, but I don't think that any other party would be far from saying what's the
NPP said it and it's on record. I can look for the videos for it right now.
You also owe me a video then.
It's a fact.
But guys,
do you have a video of an NDC person saying party hiasika?
Thank you so much for joining us today, gentlemen.
Do you have that?
Gentlemen.
Thank you very much. And
Thank you.
pleasure to see you again, beautiful.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. When the news breaks, when decisions are made, when society says it has to be a certain way, as young people, are we ever part of the conversation? Hi, my name is Emefa Akosia Adeti, and I invite you to be part of discussing relevant issues, be it social, political debate, religion, or culture. Let's have our say. On Youth Connect, we shall spark conversations, challenge what we ought to, and find solutions that benefits us all. On Youth Connect, we shall bring to the fore your passion, most importantly, your voice. Don't just watch or listen, act. It matters to you.